I am Linda Deir, and this guy right here.
The maven of marketing, magic, and technical prowess.
Okay, we absolutely wouldn't know what to do without Ray. How many hours today was it on tech support? 3.
Everybody knows me by my first name.
Yeah, he gets it though. He gets it. There's a lot of parts to this. We are always so happy to have you all. Tonight is the guided journal writing system, and we're going to be taking questions about what you've been writing in your journal. This is part 2 of the guided journal writing system. And there's chapter 2 and chapter 3. So let me get something fixed here. Okay. Okay, Ray, I need to do something. I just need
Okay.
We've got a lot of noise going on. I got to
You have that.
Okay, there. Okay. Video noise. Okay, we do this together. So anyway, chapter 2 is where you take the journey. Part 2. Chapter 1 through 18, and I guess it's because you're not over here blocking that. We've got a heck of a lot of noise going on. See over here?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's over here. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it wasn't there before.
That's loud. Okay, hold on.
Little light. Light crew. There we go. All done.
Wow.
Good thing we have a lighting crew here.
Like I said, we do all this ourselves.
The Lord of the Lights.
Okay, so anyway, the guided journal writing system consists of guided, that's my journey, that's my story, my true story, about how I learned to make this connection to my spirit guides and angels, okay? This is your journey where you learn to do it. In fact, that's why I wrote this. This is the companion journal to guided. So this is to teach you how to do it. This is actually what we're going to be using September 7th here in Phoenix when I do my live event, okay, at Storm Wisdom. And by the way, you're going to be able to attend that via live streaming over the internet as well. So you don't have to be there to be there. Okay, so we're going to be working on part 2, chapter 1 through 18. And primarily today, we're focusing on chapter 10. That's rebellion. And out of rebellion, you know, many of us, our lives right now today is a collective of the rebellion from those younger days when we were little kids, when we first took on that role. And we're going to talk about why you did it, why it wasn't your fault. You didn't, it was your only way for self-preservation, to look out for yourself, since everybody else seemed to just be coming from this world and imposing their demands on you, when you knew that in and of itself was out of balance. Something was wrong with that, all right? So, and they were really just probably looking out for you, trying to protect you, but they didn't know any better.
That's not how you took it.
No, it's not. And it's really a good thing that you didn't take it that way, so you didn't let yourself just get pulled in to just this world, instead of keeping yourself alive from being the person who came here on that very first day, who intended to live this life out as in a whole, not just from this perspective, and be terrified throughout your life. You know, live a fearful life and be controlled by what everyone wants you to do and what they think and, you know, what they might say, and, you know, all that stuff just ruins your life, okay? This part of you, the rebellion, the younger kid that told the people that tried to get you to comply, to just live in one world, this world, one, okay? You knew deep inside you, there's something in you that stirred, your soul was stirring, telling you that something was wrong with that narrow perspective, okay? Not to let that govern you, okay? So now in your life, you're 30, you're 50, you're 70, whatever.
I'm almost 70.
Okay, what happens is now you're still rebellion. You're still rebelling against things that really probably is overkill now. You're trying to push this back. When what you really need to do is you need to, in part 2, chapter 1 through 18. This is chapter 10. You need to go back and you need to figure out where you first started to rebel. And we know that you did it, I did it, Ray did it, we all did it in some form or fashion as self-preservation. Don't you people in this world exclude me. They never saw you. They just looked at you like you were right here with them. There was no you before this, okay?
They didn't recognize you as a thinking person.
As a capable person.
I mean, if you can't remember the first time that you rebelled, you can probably remember the first time your parents, normally, told you to do something, and you crossed your arms, and you stomped your foot, and you said, no. Right?
Yeah. That's the only thing you knew how to do. You didn't have the capacity to really challenge them on a level playing field. You were a kid. You know, what else? What could you have done? But ever since then, that reaction and that self-preservation kept you frozen. It kept you frozen over here, okay? This still can't really live. Well, this is so defensive. And the ego comes out and fights for you, but it's really not helping you. At this point, you need to figure out what that was and how it's in your way. What used to be self-preservation is now working against you. All right. So how do you get your whole self back? How do you get reconnected? Okay, how do you make that connection first to yourself? And once you have this connection to yourself, the connection to your guidance is a byproduct of that. You don't have to go look for it. You don't have to make it happen. You don't have to meditate all day and hope it works. It's just going to work. You're going to get insight. You're going to be open to it. You're going to be aware because you're in one piece. All right. You know how to be present. You know how to listen. It just goes along with it. All right. If you don't feel what I'm talking about, it's because you're way over here, way invested in just one world, this one. And that's the topic for tonight. Reacting to living in one world. Okay? So, Ray,
what do we have? We have all the way from Yuma, Arizona, Joy, and Kimberly, and Denise, all the way from Australia.
Right. Okay. We love having you.
International.
Okay. So, we want your questions, and we're here to help you with your questions about, and let's focus on what I talked about, or anything in part 3 of the guided journal writing system, where you are learning things, where things are coming through, and you're writing them down, okay? You're answering how it felt, what you realized, and what you intend to do with that information, that awareness, that understanding, that aha that you got. This is what we're also working on today. So it doesn't have to be about living in one world, okay? But ultimately, this whole project is about, living in both worlds and what it feels like when you live in one world and how that trips you up on every level of your life, throughout your life, And it's because that's what happens when you come here. The people are unaware. Rarely do you run across somebody who's aware of the fact that you actually do live in two worlds at the same time. Rarely do you run into that. You're going to become a product of that. You guys, because you're following this and you're learning how to use this journal and take the journey, and then in part 3, track your progress or lack of progress. Track it all, because that's what's going to get you through this and get you out of this repetitive, cycle of not being able to have your life and live your life the way you know it, you feel it, something's missing. Okay?
It boils down to this world, this material world. When you're forced to live in one world, even though you know in your soul you can do better, because you came in knowing that it's a very self-centered world. They don't care about you.
Well, why is that?
Well, because they want you to conform to them.
Okay, this is the reason it's self-centered. When you see somebody self-centered, and to different degrees, okay, under different conditions, that's an absolute. There's no question that that person is living in just one world. To do that, to act that way, to exclude everyone else because of your own survival, your own existence, if that's a person who's just in this world, that person is a problem. That person could be dangerous. That person is somebody who couldn't possibly have anything to offer you because they're too desperate. They're too needy. They're too much, about themselves because they really believe this is all there is. This one world. I got to tell you something. If that was me, if I was in their shoes, I would feel the same way. I'd be somebody you'd need to watch out for because that's a scary place when you feel that alone, isolated, that it's terrifying to imagine that that's all there is. And really, if you look in the world, why do people get so scared? Because they feel like that's all there is. So that's
because somebody didn't give them a choice.
Because somebody didn't acknowledge them.
Right.
I want to say that it goes past giving them a choice. The people that do this in this world, that impose that on you, they don't even know there's another world. They don't mean to do it. They forgot who they are. Okay? They never considered that there's this thing called a connection where you could actually be fully operating, fully capable and present and able to respond and hear the guidance. They can't even imagine that. Okay?
Yeah, that's because that's what's so offensive to the little child. The
That
child
is.
comes in from the other side, from their spirit family, with all this hope and all this power and all this potential, and they still have a connection to where they came from until people start fearing them out of it.
Because really what's going on with the people in this world? They're fearful for you. See, really, they're trying to protect you. It's their responsibility to protect you. Now, they feel the weight of that responsibility in this world, and they completely overreact because they're not connected. So, it's called evolution, you guys, beginning to connect with this and understand this. So more people, I feel like it's the 100th monkey. At some point, there's going to be enough people who get this, and then everybody else, it's like everybody else just benefits from it. They instantly remember. They instantly know there's more going on. Instantly, okay?
The type of parents that realize there's something else going on is when their child is a prodigy in something. The child's 4 years old.
That is true.
Sits down on the piano bench and plays Chopin flawlessly.
Well, I remember, I'm going to say something. I remember something in Guided when I talked about the one time that my mom recognized that something more was going on with me when I was really, really small. And I looked up at my mom. It was the one time where she just looked at me and she had this look of respect on her face. Like, whoa. She realized there was something totally different about
something
me
going on
that she respected from a soul level. Now, as a person just in this world and her how damaged my mom was mentally, that part of her, she moved it out of the way for that one moment. It was amazing. I was really, really small. I'm probably going to say I was 3 or 4. And I looked at her and I saw something different. And I thought to myself, I remember saying this in Guided, maybe she's going to let up on me now. Maybe whatever she saw, maybe she's going to stop abusing me now. And then she went right back into her old ways, but she did see it. She did recognize something. It was this part of my mom that was present just for a moment that noticed it. And you'll notice people in your life that you'll see them have that moment. You'll go, wow, it's almost like that person woke up for like 15 seconds and you saw it. You saw it happen. I know we've all seen this, okay? I talk about that one incident with my mom, and you know, we all see this in people at some point in time where they recognize you, where they see who you really are, not who they're trying to get you to comply as a person in just this world, and just, you know, go along with the status quo and don't cause a ruffle, and, you know, just, you know, take orders and pay attention and keep your mouth shut, you know, pretty much. And the real you part of you looks at that and is offended by it. It disrespects you.
Right. The little kids work that into a saying, you're not the boss of me. That's where it came from. They don't like being forced to live in one world by somebody else's rules, by somebody else's telling them what to do, how to think.
What they're allowed to think.
What they're allowed to do, what they're allowed not to do, who they're allowed to associate with.
I know. Yeah. So and really they're trying to look out for you again, and sometimes they're not, they're just mean. But let's assume that most people are trying to look out for you. They just overdo it. And that they should at that moment realize that something's missing in them, okay? What do we have, Ray?
Just a little observation by Kim. What percentage would you say of people that you've worked with have the ability to hear their guides through telepathy? I mean, and actually hear their guides through telepathy rather than the board, okay, or a dream, or...
Okay, so what happens is the more that they associate with me, the more that they show up, or the more that they have a coaching session, or, you know, or the more they read the books I have, you know, the insights that I do each week. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we put out. The more that they experience that, the more they start to feel okay. Here's the key. They start to feel okay with the fact that they are intuitive, that they actually do hear their guides, that they are getting guidance, and that it's reliable, okay? The more they're around, see, here's what it is. It's being around like-minded people. If you're around people who are not like-minded, if they don't support you in who's coming back into the picture, you, okay, and bringing it into play into this world, and learning to work in that direction. If you don't have people who support you, or it just, at the very least, leave you alone so you can work on it, then having this telepathy and believing it just happened, you'll doubt yourself more, because you're constantly getting influenced and slammed by the people in just this world who don't even know who they are, okay? They just keep being offensive and harsh and critical and, you know, defensive and everything in this world. If that's what's going on, that's where they're at. They're just here, and they interrupt you and interrupt you and interrupt you. If you have enough time to alone to start bringing this part back and bringing it together without having this continue to interrupt you, this whole thing that you're learning to do will get so strong that if these people in this world that keep offending you keep doing this, you will walk away from them.
I think, just for me personally, I've never had a spirit guide appear right in front of me, but I would think that when they appear right in front of you, that it's very easy for you to speak with them telepathically.
Well, there's no other way to do it.
Right, that's their preferred method.
That's the way you spoke, and they always speak before you came here.
Right.
Okay.
Now,
so okay.
Think about you and I, and how many. I've been amazed, especially this last week.
I know.
Of how many times you said something to me, and I said, "Well, I was just thinking that."
Oh, I know.
So you read my mind telepathically.
Right.
I mean, it happened 2 or 3 times today.
I know. And the more, you guys, I want you to know that as you learn to do this, as you become more tuned in to who you are, and I'm with Ray. Ray lets me be who I am. He's the only one I've ever been with that let me be who I am. Now, I've always been who I am. They didn't let me be who I was. I was who I was. And where are those relationships? They're gone. Because they couldn't stand me. All right? These were the wrong people to have in my life. I would not have them in my life again. My entire family, all of them. And there's all kinds of reasons. Like I've had friends from the past that love and adore me, but they can't even be around me. They can't, because the pressure in this world that is imposed on them in the areas that they're weak, where they're needy, they need these people. So these people have dominance over them. No one needs to act like this, but this is what happens, unfortunately, when people think that they're just living in one world and this is all there is, you know? So those people can't be around me, because the people in their life, their kids, you know, their friends, whatever, they're offended by me. People that are not connected at where you are, and things just come easy to you. That's what happens. When you're connected and you're present and you hear the guidance come through and you move on it, your life is easier. The people that are just in this world watching you do this and they're struggling, they're not going to like you for that.
They feel cheated.
You
have this advantage over me.
Right. So expect that to happen. Now, would you rather be worried about these people? Are you here to live their life, or are you here to live your life? Okay? And that connection, that telepathy, that presence, that knowingness, that awareness, that insight, that you're connected. Okay? It just goes along with it. Once you have this, you guys, I don't care who's in your life, whoever tries to control you and prevent you from having you could never tolerate it. You could never have it in your life again. There is no way. You know what it would be equal to? It would be equal to someone telling you to stop breathing. If you want to be with me, you have to stop breathing. Right? So you can't stop breathing. I remember when I got out of that family house at 16 with my life, and I had those panic attacks. I couldn't stop breathing. I couldn't stop breathing. My body started changing, all kinds of things. I felt like the Hulk, like I could physically feel my skin changing, my body changing. That's how much I held my breath for 16 years until I got out of there. Whew, man. So living in just one world, oh my God. It's a painful place to be.
Okay, so Kimberly says she gets it. That makes sense. She was just in a practice session with the girls. With
Great.
The students of Ask the Universal Channel.
Good.
The Stars Up tomorrow night.
Yes.
And they were getting messages without using the board. And she wants to get to the point where she can do that.
Right. Okay, Kimberly, you already do it. The part of you that's missing it is the part of you that doesn't recognize it as it when it happens.
It's like when she's painting.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
How do those ideas come through?
Yeah. You're just not. It's about discernment. Okay. And after a while, you're going to go. It's not even something. When I said to Ray this and that today, and it, I was picking up on what was going on with Ray. I wasn't thinking about it. It just came out. You're going to see those slips. You're going to see those. What was that? I mean, that one time when somebody out of my marriage, this guy asked me to go out, and I said, I can't go out with you. My wings are still wet. You can't be afraid of the stuff that comes through, the way the guidance would say it, and really, honestly, the way that they said it, it made so much sense to me, okay, about how nervous I would get when I'd go out on a date at that time. I would sweat so much that my pants would even be soaked. I'd be so nervous about what does this guy expect of me on this date, you know? And I was so nervous. And when they said that, it was perfect, because that's what happened to me like 20 years earlier. Same condition when I got out of my marriage and I felt insecure about going out with anybody because I didn't know what they expected. And I sweat like crazy. It just came out. Your wings are still wet. I would still do that. I would still sweat. So you never know the way they're going to talk to you. You never know what's going to bleed through and come out of your mouth. I want you guys to have a sense of humor about this. I want you guys to be okay with what happens and write it in your journal. Don't let it slip through your fingers. Write it down, because this is all code from the other side. It's code that's directed specifically at you. It's perfect, all right? It's genius is what it is.
Like Joy says, yes, you only get a few words, without the board. Well, that's the way it starts. And Kimberly says she does too. Sometimes it's okay. She loves that. And Rebecca again, hi Rebecca. She says she can hear a few words at a time.
Right.
And those words are usually enough to get the message through. But what amazed me today, in the last few days, is I was in the kitchen and I was thinking, I think I'm going to have some of that pizza from last night and warm it up and have it for lunch. And I didn't say anything, and I no sooner thought that than you said, you want me to warm up some of that pizza for you for lunch?
And what's interesting is here's another part to it that you haven't even considered. The way you were going to warm up that pizza on your own was entirely different than what I did.
Right.
And how did that work out for
It worked out perfectly.
See, and I hadn't done it that way before, but I went ahead and did, thinking that's probably the way to do it. Just follow what you feel, you guys. Trust you. You have to trust yourself. You know how I always say that? That's what I mean by just being in this world and then bringing yourself back and bringing it together. Now you can trust you, because you know why? Because you're back. Otherwise, you're just over here. You're dragging the leg. You're half here. And this isn't the best half of you. The best half of you hasn't even started to show up. So this telepathy, this beginning to connect with the guidance before you start channeling it and let it come through, this is that part of you that you're summoning, that you're bringing back, that's playing back into your life, and you're not used. It's like getting your sea legs under you, getting used to the balance and the motion and how it works, and then actually liking it. Okay, you're on a journey, you guys. My guided journey, that's your journey back to self-discovery and personal transformation. That's what this does.
This telepathy thing is not really so complicated. It's a power that you harness, that you used all the time before you got here. And if you want to try this out, next time you're in a grocery store or at Starbucks and somebody's across the room and they got their back to you, look right at the back of their head and keep telling them, turn around and look at me. Turn around and look at me. You're thinking it. You're thinking it. You're thinking it. What happens?
They do it. And you'll notice what you do. This is what I do. It always works. Okay, so you do it, and then as soon as you see them turning, I'm off this way. I just gently, just move, 15 degrees, so that they can't identify the person who did that.
Right.
But it does work.
Once you master that, especially at Starbucks, and pretty soon it's going to be fall, you could move on to, hey, come over here and pay for my pumpkin spice latte, and see what they do.
It could, you guys. But then again, you want to make sure you summon the right person.
Right, okay. Not a stalker.
Yeah. You gotta have discernment. But it's all about knowing the difference between. You've always been getting this information, Kim, and all of you, telepathically, but you thought it came from you. Right. This is why it's so important, living in just one world. This is why it's so important to know, learn to discern. Learn to discern. What's coming from you and what's coming through you.
And Rebecca has had a good thing. She's working on trying to raise her vibration higher, And the way the telepathy thing works is when you find somebody who's vibrating at the same level you are. They can hear you, you can hear them.
Here's what happens when you run into somebody like this. You have a racing feeling going on inside your body. It could be your heart. I feel it in my stomach. I feel it like through the torso is where I feel it. I feel like I'm being revved up. Because that energy, I remember them from some other time.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel revved up. I feel like a horse at the gate, and the gate's just about ready to open, and the energy's building. I can feel the energy. So be aware of your energy. How about that?
Just like at the coffee shop when we first met.
Oh, man.
And I was over there, I was staring at you from halfway back, and you turned around, and
he hit me with a blast of energy, you guys. That was so... It was... Okay.
How did it make you feel?
Okay, here's how it made me feel. I realized how powerful he was. I mean, I know my own energy. I know who I am. But I have an energy. I have an excitement that comes through me. But I have a gentle energy. I generally... It's gentle. It's consistent. But it does get hyped up, you know. But his came at me like a bolt. Okay? I was like, whoa. I don't know if I'm ready to take that on, all right? I mean, really, I guess my whole life, you know, I've been careful, that'd be the right way to say it, with myself about who I let into my life, especially with my early life, right? I learned to be, just take it easy. And that's why business was always good for me, because I didn't have to let them in, you know, in here. We could play, you know, we could work together. It was always like out here, but I never let them here in my heart, right? And that's where that was different. And he was, I mean, Ray is a powerful guy. You'll meet him. You'll meet Ray someday.
That's it. Okay, Francine Bing joined us. Hi, Francine. And Kimberly says, yeah, that's what, when she uses the boy, she feels the energy in her toes and her fingers.
Right, you'll feel a racing feeling come through, especially when you make a connection with your guides, Kimberly, or with a person, okay? A person, and most generally, someone you've never met before. In this life, okay? But they're not new to you. They're not, they're somebody that you've known from before, all right?
Yeah, because all the people you normally hang around with, you know how you vibrate with them.
Yeah.
It's always the same, you know. But when you meet somebody who vibrates right at your level, right at an elevated level, it's kind of like a shock to meet them. You know, it's like you weren't expecting it.
Yeah, absolutely not. Right, that's right. And in Ray's case, when I first saw Ray, I can't say I met him, but I saw him from across the room. And I would say that, yeah, it felt like a match. And maybe I was just really comfortable with myself at the time, and I guess I didn't need it, or you know. But that's not how my guides saw it.
I was sending out the energy of, hey, you know, why don't you come over here, bring your coffee, and have coffee with me? And you interpreted it by running out the door, turning and running.
No, it was Ray. You threw an energy at me that was. I don't even know if you even. I don't think he understands how strong it was. I understand it. I remember it like it happened yesterday. Okay, but he was just being himself. So how do you explain something like that when you're just being who you are?
Which is the whole purpose of tonight's topic. How do you explain to somebody when you're, you know, this high, as a baby, how you feel about them telling you,
forcing you
what to do,
to live under a very narrow perspective, because this new person that just came in, it is far from narrow. Okay, very far from it. In fact, if only we paid more attention to what these new
people,
creatures, you know, these entities that just came in from the other side. How amazing is that? Instead, we get stuck on, look how cute they are, look how innocent they are. You know, we don't really pay attention to who they are. Okay.
And then they get mixed signals from parents. You know, they can't even talk yet, and they're doing something. Oh, they're doing something they probably shouldn't be doing. And they, oh, look how cute he is, or how cute she is. And then you keep doing it, and next time, pretty soon, don't do that anymore.
When did it quit being cute? Okay, so it's all conditional here, you guys. You know the difference, you know?
Like the cat that sits on the counter and pushes everything off. Oh, look how cute that is. Until they do it for about a month.
And then they knock a plate down.
Yeah, and then they push food off.
Yeah.
And...
You mean I'm not cute anymore? What? When did cute stop?
Oh.
So living in one world, okay, we talked about telepathy, and that if you're just in one world and you have this telepathic thing going on, you're going to think it was you. You're not going to think it was telepathy. It came from, you know, outside of you, from guidance. You're not going to think that. You're just going to think, well, that was me. That was my great idea.
Okay, so Rebecca, Kimberly says, you know, how does that really work? That you can hear the energy. And Rebecca said, high vibration singing blows. I think she meant bowls. Singing bowls might help you get in tune. Singing bowls are great.
They are awesome.
Amazing. And then how does that work? And she said, go to YouTube and find some videos. There's some great videos.
That's very good advice, by the way. They're called the crystal bowls.
Singing bowls.
Well, they're called singing bowls, but what they really are crystal bowls. Okay. Well, no, some of them are from Tibet. Tibetan bowls.
Some of them are metal too.
That's what I mean. Yeah, some of them are.
Yeah.
I just personally like the crystal bowls myself. Yeah.
Okay, Joy says, when I was in the swimming pool, I felt a very unusual sensation in my hands, different from what I'm doing when she's doing Reiki. I asked if this was the energy of the water, and the answer I got was that they were sending me their energy so I would know what it felt like. Yeah.
Okay, so water is conductive.
Right.
So when you're in the water, when you have your hands at the kitchen sink, under the water, when you're in the shower, that's when you get lots of insight coming through. So you were submerged in the water, you were in the swimming pool, all right? You know what's interesting? This is Joy, right? Yep. I just recently, Joy, I got this little swimming, you know, so I can shove my hair up underneath the swimming cap, and a little band, you know, so my hair doesn't get filled with chlorine and all that stuff. So I could start swimming again. When did I get that, Ray? A couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So it's interesting how I'm being moved into that. And I thought, well, that sounds like a good thing to do. I've never bought a cap like that. I've never bought any cap for my hair before if I was to go swimming. But I did, and you know what? I bet that the guides have something in store for me regarding that conductive thing, where they're trying to get through to me even more, just like what they're doing with you, Joy, right?
You're going to find out soon.
So it's like the yellow brick road. You know how I keep telling you guys in part 3, my journal writing part of it, where you keep track of these things, and then within weeks, you'll look back and see the connection, the connectivity between one insight, a dream, when you were driving in the car, when you were in the water, you'll go, oh my God, look at all this information coming through. I never would have seen it had I not written it down, right?
Explain to the folks at home about when you put the palms together and generate the energy.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, how does it work for you, right?
Well, you know.
My dad used to do this all the time.
Your dad taught you?
Yeah, well, he didn't teach me. I watched him do this. I mean, he would go crazy, just burning off that excess energy.
He had a high energy like you do.
Yeah, he absolutely. So what does that do for you when you do that?
Well, how I do it, once you told me about it, is you get your hands going like this, real fast, back and forth, and I do it for about a minute till my hands get real hot.
Right, okay.
And then I do this when I have a headache. And then as soon as I let go, I put my hands on the side of my head, or if it's a sinus headache, you know, over my eyes, and the headache stops.
Okay, now, take this energy, when you go like this, like Ray's talking about, and you keep doing this, and you keep doing this, and you keep doing this, until you feel that you're there, and then start using your...
Yeah, there you go.
Then start channeling your guides, okay? Start moving the energy like this.
Very good.
That's called conjuring, Okay, that's where you're conjuring up the energy. It's it's stirring it up, it's conjuring it up, and it's getting it excited. You know how I talked about when I feel something, it starts coming out of me, and I keep starting to feel it. Or when you meet somebody, that connection, you remember them, you start feeling that, like that horse at the gate, like that excitement starts running through your body, like this. It's the same thing as you begin to move it. Okay.
Yeah, I imagine that a lot of that has to do with Reiki type.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, yeah.
Because the energy does come through your hands. And
right.
That's why if you got a sore spot on your body or a sore muscle, that's why you rub it.
And breathe.
Right.
And do your breathing. Make sure you see my upper body relax and fall into it, and the shoulders let go, and you just relax your neck. You just release the stress. Okay. And when you do that, see the guides. When they come through here. They come through here, and then they come, and then through here, and there you have it. You have to keep that loosened up.
So, having your antennas up, listening for this guidance, listening for the feelings. And Rebecca said last winter, they had so much snow, she was taking a picture of her tree that was all covered in snow, and she heard from Spirit that it was healing the earth. All that snow and was healing the earth. Yeah. It's a replenishment. It's the winter and then the spring.
Right.
So.
Okay, so we don't have any other questions tonight, right?
No.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to let the guides have this is like a conversation you have with your guides when you speak with them. And this just happens to be a way using Ask the Universal channel where you speak with them on command. That's what we do when we do the angel coaching with Linda. The person comes through and on command, they ask a question, their guides are there and they answer that request, that question, that finish that thought, whatever it happens to be. Yeah, and here we go. See
here we
that?
Go.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Breathe.
We'll do this together. And loosen up your upper body. Loosen it up. Okay, yes, and they're going to say what they're going to say about our session tonight with you.
Why do we tell you to write down what's happening? Then ask yourself how it made you feel. Then what you realized from what had happened, and then decide what action you will take because of it. You've been doing this since you were a baby. Something happened. You weren't old enough to write it down, but as soon as it happened, you thought about how it made you feel. Sometimes you laughed. Other times you cried. Sometimes you fell on the floor and threw a fit. What did you realize from that experience? And how did it affect what you would do when placed in the same situation?
Okay, so the whole point to this is reacting to living in one world. Okay, when you were a little baby, when you came in, you automatically, you were not disconnected. You were connected. You struggled with being here. The people here made it hard to be here under the oneness, just being in this one world. Those conditions of being in just one world offended you. Okay, so when you experience things, you weren't old enough to write it down, but you still experienced it. You immediately had the feedback of what it felt like. And in what that felt like, you realized whatever that conclusion was that you came to. You came to a conclusion in that moment. That's back there, okay, based on what was imposed on you here, okay? Then, what are you doing? Okay, and then you took an action. You did all those things naturally.
Right.
When you were a little kid, you didn't have to go through, okay, wait a minute, okay, what did I just think, or what just came through to me, and I'm going to write it down. And how does that make me feel? Just remember, this is not your first pony ride. You've been doing this since you got here. You haven't been aware of it. Now you're conscious of what you're doing. You're taking the conscious effort of bringing yourself back into the picture. Now you over here that's been, suffering, many of you, just being in this world, reacting to living in just this one world. You got to let up on the reaction, you guys. You got to lighten up on the rebellion, because the only one you're fighting against now is yourself. And you're fighting against letting your true self come back into the picture, okay? What you need to do is you need to go, okay, I acknowledge this, and I'm not going to be so harsh and so fast to judge and so reactionary, the ego, okay, in this world. I'm going to lighten up just enough so this part of me can start coming back, and we can get to know each other again, okay? And I can work this out. It's going to feel kind of wonky in the beginning, and then pretty soon you start seeing the benefits of this. You start feeling better, and then comes what you realized and the action. You're doing the same thing you did when you were a little kid before you cared about what anyone thought of you.
You did it naturally then.
Don't care. As long as you don't care what they think about you now, this can happen faster.
Right. And
this connection can come together quicker. And you're going to be back in action. You're going to be connected. You're going to know it. You're going to hear it. You're going to have yourself back. You're going to have your connection back. All right?
Yeah. What happens as you get older is you've been told what to do, how to think so many times by other people that it became the natural part of your existence. And if you don't do what they tell you, you are critical of how you will be judged by your friends and society. The minute that starts to happen again, you guys are in some serious training here. The minute this starts to dominate you again, you know how you're going to notice it, recognize it? Your body's going to tell you. It's going to go. It's going to stop breathing. It's going to breathe shallow. It's doing what the child did. It's pushing back, but it's doing it in a real discreet way now because you're an adult in this world. And you're doing it so you don't, rock the boat, okay? So maybe you need to rock the boat a little bit. You're going to notice that you're probably going to disappoint some people. Okay? All right. But you know who you're not going to disappoint? Yourself.
That's right. And you're not going to disappoint this connection you have that's for all of you, that's struggling to come back and become one and not hobbling through this life, dragging a leg, just suffering, You didn't come here to suffer, you guys. So next week, we ready?
Yeah.
Next week.
And
okay.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's a big day. Tomorrow, Ask the Universal Channel. I announced it today on the group. I think all of you, or most of you, belong to the group. If you don't belong to Ask the Universal Channel group, you just have to email us at info@channeledreadings.com and ask to join the group, and Ray will send you the qualifiers, okay, to get in. Because not just anybody can get into this group. This is a secret group of soul-driven, like-minded people. And our group is over the top excellent, okay? Right. And everybody loves each other. Everybody cares for each other. Everybody helps each other learn to make this connection with their heart and soul. And there's nobody we're going to let in that's going to mess that up, all right? So we do that on purpose. If you want to join, just send me an email. So next Wednesday, August the 28th, right here on Facebook at 6 p.m. Pacific time, Linda Deir, author. We're going to be talking about the secret decisions you made. Some of your decisions were easy while others felt oppressive. Okay, this is where when you were first here as a child. You made most of these early decisions without telling anyone. Of course you didn't tell anyone. These guys, no way. They were definitely gonna crash your party, all right? You did not want to be challenged by anyone's judgment of what you decided. So why should you do that now? For those of you who kept a journal on how you derived at these secret decisions, you had become more confident about yourself, okay? This writing in this journal is a game changer, you guys. You're gonna have a breakthrough that you're not over and over again. This confidence came from your ability to trust yourself, and there you have it, okay? So we're gonna be talking about that next week. Bring your questions, and if there's anything like you talked about tonight, about questions about telepathy and how you're learning to work with telepathy better, and Ray and I talked about some of the things you can do, and you know how you have to have this connection between you and yourself, you and your true self, and bringing this back together again, and discerning between what came from you as opposed to what came through you, okay? The only way that can happen is when you are in one piece, okay?
All right. I'm going to send out some love to you here. There's the love.
How did you do that, Ray?
You click on the love thing here.
Oh, there it is.
Send some love back.
Isn't that the best, you guys? All right, and remember on the 7th, September 7th, thank you, you guys. On September 7th, you can join us either right here in Phoenix, Arizona for our live event.
As some of you are going to do.
And we're going to be working with the guides, and we're going to let you guys experience what it's like with us when you work with your guides. Ray and I are going to be there, and you put your hand here, and Ray and I put our hands so you can feel this energy working, okay? Powerful. Joy, you're going to get to experience that. I love this, Joy. Can't wait to meet you in person. Okay, but you can also join us online. We're going to have this set up where you can join us live through live streaming over the internet. All right?
Zoom.
Right over Zoom. Yep. So we've got 100 seats that reserved for this, so that you can join us even if you can't physically be there. You're going to love what you're going to experience while these guys experience this with us. Okay. Awesome.
Tell your friends.
Yeah, tell your friends about it, because it's only, a couple weeks out, all right?
Yeah, it's 2 weeks from this Saturday.
Yeah, we're going to go there and test it all out on Friday.
Yep.
Yep. So we're set to go, you guys. We're so excited.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll see you guys tomorrow on Ask the Universal channel.
And practice that telepathy. Get people to turn around and look at you when you're out in public, and let us know that next week how many people you got to turn around.
Yeah, but when they look at you, just kind of go,
Oh, well.
That wasn't me.
Yeah. Okay.
It's harmless, and it's fun, and it's fascinating.
And it's powerful.
Okay.
All right.
Good night, you guys.
Good night, everybody. Be kind.